All right. Welcome to the Freakcast. Tonight we have a special guest, Coach David Spurgeon. We're going to bring him here in just a few minutes. But before we do that, let some people join in here live with us, and we'll do our intro that we do every week. And excited. Welcome to the Freakcast. Hope you'll join in with us tonight.
There's no air in this room. I'm somewhere, lost my shoes. In this mind, you will see who you're really gonna be. Hollowed out, filled with sin. Keeping watch, I don't pretend. Feelings throw you to the ground. Pick it up and spin around. Stay true, I don't wanna be in this room. Stay true, I don't wanna be in this room.
All right.
In this room.
Welcome to the Freakcast. I am, I guess, the head freak, and my name is Stephen Carroll. Thanks for joining in with us tonight. Excited about this episode that we're going to have tonight. It's going to be a heavy topic, but excited to have my friend Coach David Spurgeon on here, and you're going to enjoy hearing from him here in a few minutes. That was Kids in a Daze. Our theme song, Stay True. One of the things we always kind of bring up and talk about is the fact that we are, focused on every story matters. So whether you're listening to the broadcast later on iTunes or Spotify, or whether you're watching us live tonight as we do this episode, that's the one thing that we always focus on. You all have a story. Everybody has a story, and every story matters because we're all going through something. And so it's important that we share our stories with one another because we can help each other and encourage each other. And the one thing that we talk about a lot is just kind of the focus of how that there's this verse that I love in Revelation 12:11, and it said they overcame the enemy by the power of the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, their story. And it's that story that makes a huge difference in our lives. And so I always love to bring that up. Tonight, again, like I said, our guest is Coach David Spurgeon, and he and his wife, Kathryn, have got an incredible family, and they are incredible people. And their daughter, Elyse, had a rare form of cancer that we're going to talk about tonight, of leukemia. And I'm going to let him tell more of the story. So let's bring him in here so you can hear him. Here he is right here.
Hello there.
Coach.
Hey, Stephen.
So I know your name is David Spurgeon, but you're Coach Spurgeon to me. You'll always be Coach Spurgeon to me. So that's so I'll probably say Coach most of the night. I don't know any other way to address you. Well, that's who you are, you're Coach. So we go way back. I was trying to think. Jordan was, I guess it was his 7th, 8th grade year, I guess.
7th grade year and 8th grade year. 7th
grade, 8th year. So yeah, Jordan was at that time he had I guess both years he had a choice. He really wanted to try quarterback. And they had A, B teams or whatever. And so he chose to be on the B team because he wanted to try to be quarterback, and the A team had another quarterback. We won't go into that. But anyway, long story short, you were his coach, and I was Don and I both, my wife and I both were just like super glad you had such a huge impact on his life and those kids' lives. And so those were really good days, Coach. I was very thankful. So that's how we met. I guess, man, that was what? He was 11 years ago.
Let's see, I've been at the high school now for 8 years, and then that was Jordan's 7th and 8th grade years, those are my last 2 years coaching football, actually. And then I went
that's right.
I went straight to tennis and actually I did cross country, tennis, stuff like that for 2 years. And then I got the opportunity to become a head tennis coach, and I've been a head tennis coach for 8 years now.
That's right.
Mhm.
I wish I had the picture of you with the long hair.
Yes. Yeah.
For you guys that are listening back, Coach Spurgeon doesn't have long hair anymore.
I am bald by choice. We'll get into
That's
that
right.
a
You
little
are.
bit later.
That's right.
I
right.
actually
We get
still
into
do have hair. I
Yeah.
actually I grow it out more during during the winter because dadgummit, it gets cold.
No, it's crazy. The head does get cold.
Yes,
I
yes,
found
it
this.
does.
So I found this video, and for you guys that are listening, you won't be able to see it, but there's a video that was a moment where I'm gonna play it. This was a. Let me get back to the beginning of it. If you guys are watching, Jordan was punting the ball. This is Kyle Hogwood in front of you, and Jordan punts the ball into Kyle's butt, and then picks it up, and you can see where are you at over? I saw you over, and you were jumping up and down, but at one point,
Of course I was. I was
and so
always
he's
jumping up and down. I
that
was
was
known for
funny. So
sprinting up and down the sidelines. What's
yeah, you
funny
were.
was that was a Division I college athlete hitting another Division I college athlete in the rear end
Oh,
with a
that's
football.
true.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true. They
there
did both.
were those were some really, really good teams. We had quite a few. We had quite a few D1 athletes, even on
Yeah.
even on that B team, actually.
Yeah. No. Exactly. Yeah. That's right. A
Yeah,
lot of good athletes on there. So,
a lot of
well, you
them
had a
kids
huge
just hadn't made
impact
it.
you've had a huge impact in a lot of lives. So, Coach, you've been
Mhm.
coaching. How long you been coaching now, or been teaching?
I've been teaching for 15 years. I've been coaching for 14 years. My first year as a teacher at Brown, I did not coach, and then I started coaching. I've been teaching math all since. Currently, I'm a pre-calculus instructor at North Forney High School and the head tennis coach there. Before I became a teacher, I was a marketing manager for a gaming company. I did the
Really?
corporate route. Oh yeah, yeah. I did the corporate route. Thought I got to exactly where I wanted to be, and then when I got there, it was absolutely miserable.
What gaming
Yeah.
company did you? Can you tell
It
what
was
gaming
called.
company you work for?
Yeah, it was a company called Mumbo Jumbo. They are no longer around.
Okay.
And it was the casual online games market, which
Oh,
has
okay.
now been Uh, I mean, it's basically games like Candy Crush, stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not first person shooters. It's not anything like that. It was more, find the hidden object games. Maybe there was one called. My wife got addicted to a game called Build a Lot, and we were the company that distributed that. That was
Yeah.
actually a fun game, but just games like that.
Yeah. All right. I didn't know
hmm
that. That's cool.
hmm
Well, definitely have impacted a lot of lives, and just kind of getting into your story,
hmm
I guess more. So you guys, Elyse was your first child, and then you had another child later on, right?
Yes, yes. I have Elyse. Uh, Elyse would be 17 right now. She would be a junior
Right.
in high school. And I also have a second grader. I have a 7-year-old,
That's
Rock.
right.
It is so funny. We would walk around when we had Rock. Rock was a baby. And people would look at us and people would look at me, and I'd have a couple guys look at me kind of weird. It's like, oh. And one guy once said, new family? I was like, no, mom and dad still just like each other a lot. So no,
That's right.
Rock is what we call our surprise blessing, and we
Yeah,
didn't
I
even
remember that.
realize, we didn't even realize that our family was incomplete until
Yeah.
he came around, and he has been a joy, absolute joy to have.
How old was how old is he?
He's 7.
7.
hmm
Because I'm trying to think back. Megan was in your wife's uh in Miss
Megan was
Kathryn's
in my
in Kathryn's class.
wife's American history class.
Yeah.
I never got to teach Megan because I was teaching on-level math at the time,
Yeah.
and she was always in advanced math, so I never got
So,
to teach her.
I was trying to think if she was.
Taught
I
Jordan
thought I
though.
remembered she. Yeah, I thought I remembered that she was in your wife's class when
Mhm.
y'all found out you were pregnant. I think, but I can't remember if
Yes,
that was the
that
case.
was yes,
Or
because
when y'all had right.
Jordan was already up at the Jordan was at the high school. I guess
Yeah.
if we're thinking about it, it was my second year. It was my last year at Brown actually.
Yeah.
And so my last year at Brown, um, so I guess that was Megan's eighth grade year.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, had
Yeah,
to
because
be.
she was in your wife's class when y'all found
Yep,
out. That's right. So,
yep. We
well,
found
anyway,
out. Yep.
Jordan and Megan have a lot of history with the Spurgeons, and so,
Yes.
and we do too, and we love you guys. So on to uh, so just kind of moving into your story, Coach. I mean,
Hmm.
honestly, it's going to be we've talked a lot, but um, their daughter Elyse, and you'll see on the ticker down below, it tells exactly the story about it. When I guess she was what 15 when she 15, 14 when y'all found
Actually,
out.
diagnosed at 13,
Okay,
and then celebrated her 14th birthday at Dallas Children's. Yep.
okay, all right. So she was diagnosed. I'll let you get into it. 'Cause it's a rare
Hmm.
form of it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, acute myeloid leukemia. But
Hmm.
just kind of, if you don't mind, and thank you for doing this too, because I believe, I know
Hmm.
it is a heavy story, but I know there's so many people that will be impacted by what you share and just in the conversation, and just I know there's a
Hmm.
lot going on still to this day, obviously. So
Oh yeah.
where did it?
Yeah.
How did it start, Coach? How did y'all find out, and what was the signs and that kind of stuff?
It was a persistent sore throat.
Really?
But yeah, a sore throat that wouldn't go away for 2 weeks. That's pretty much what it was. I mean, we were through it was the pandemic. We were stuck at home for a while, and we were just now coming back into school. Elyse was virtual, and I was, you know, Kathryn, I think she was teaching at another district at this time, but she was virtual. But I was, as a coach, especially, I was at school. And then it was just a sore throat. We thought it was strep for a bit, then allergies or something like that. And then finally, it just kept bothering her. And we went to our pediatrician in Dallas and, you know, went in, and she was dehydrated that day. And so they couldn't draw blood. And so they tried for a while to draw blood. And it's like, oh, no, because, no strep. So they were doing a mono test. They were doing a couple other tests. I was like, oh, well, you could just come back on Monday. I was like, no, 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 no. No, I'm a teacher. I'm a coach. I'm in season. No, we need to do it now. So they finally got the A team in there, drew blood. And then we went on our merry way and just had a good old time. And then,
Yeah, because you're not
Saturday
thinking. I
morning,
mean,
yeah,
you're not thinking
yeah,
anything. You're thinking it's
yeah,
not. Your kid's sick. You find out what's wrong.
yeah. And then Saturday morning, I woke up to the phone ringing, and this was before 8 o'clock. It was about 7:30 in the morning, and it's the pediatricians of Dallas. It comes up on my phone. I was like, I wonder why they're calling. And then they answered. Dr. Lewis said, we got Elise's blood tests, and you need to take her to the emergency room at Dallas Children's right now. There is a blood specialist on call waiting for her.
Mm.
And this was during COVID. And so they're saying, oh, and you only need to take one parent. They're only going to allow one parent there. And, uh, woke everybody up, got everybody ready, took Rock to the grandparents. Then Kathryn and I and Elyse drove to Dallas Children's. And then they went into the emergency room. And then I went slowly nuts in the car, listening to the radio, talking to friends of mine, Coach Miller, Jeff Miller,
Mm-hmm.
I was on the phone with him for hours, and then just trying to, you know, not go there. But I mean, something's
Oh
wrong when
yeah.
they have you. You
Yeah.
know something's wrong when they're asking you to meet with a blood specialist at the emergency room on a Saturday morning when the when all you were checking was for sore throat.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, the very idea that you couldn't be in there, that's
uh, that
nuts.
was our
Well, it's
entire
nerve-wracking.
journey. That was
Yeah.
our entire journey throughout Elise's, uh, you know,
Yeah, because it was all during COVID, wasn't it?
throughout cancer during COVID. Yeah,
What
one
month?
parent at a time.
What month was that when y'all found out?
It was September 5th, 2020, which was also my parents' 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
So then, I guess what kind of what happened? How did you get up to speed on what was going on? Because you weren't in there, so Kathryn's in
No, I
there with
wasn't in there,
Elyse.
and we're going back and forth. Then they finally call me in and said, "You need to come in too." And so we are in our own little room in the emergency room, and then two doctors come in and basically said that, based on the tests and everything, that Elise had cancer and had a form of leukemia. But we didn't know what type of leukemia yet because I hadn't
Right.
typed it or anything like that. So, and
Mm.
that she was going to be admitted and they were going to start the induction, which is a fairly general form of leukemia that they do for a lot of the um, different leukemia cases. Um,
So they started on
and
chemo
oh yeah,
right
yes,
there.
chemo.
So y'all didn't leave the hospital. They
No,
directly checked her in on that
yes,
Saturday.
yes.
Oh,
She left the the from September 5th until Dallas Children's unexpectedly discharged us just before Christmas. Um, I think it was December 15th, maybe 16th, something like that. She was in the hospital every day. And then 2 weeks around Christmas, and then back to Dallas, and then discharged first week of February. Then we flew to Seattle early February, and then we were in Seattle until she passed away in June. Yes.
so so from September 5th, just kind of walk us through how
hmm
y'all how because you're in and out of the hospital, I guess, from September 5th all the way to December, but it was just because they started realizing what it was, and they just
Well,
had to become more aggressive, or
no, I mean she had to. If you have the leukemia, the pediatric leukemia that you want is ALL. The
yeah,
success rate,
if you've got to
surviving
get
rate is
diagnosed with,
good. If you're going to get it,
yeah,
that's the one you want to get.
you want to get the
Uh,
ALL, yeah,
the regimen. I mean, it is the regimen that they have. Man, it works. I mean, it works, and it's very painful shots into your
right,
quads. But the success rate is there. It works, and they've got it down as routine. Originally, what we were told with Elise's AML was that she would have to go to the hospital for 2 to 3 weeks of chemo. Then, there, stay at the hospital for a bit watching her. Then she'd get to go home for about a week or so, 2 weeks, and then come back for either the transplant or another round of chemo, whatever needed. Because we knew early on that the only way to cure Elise's type of cancer was a bone marrow transplant.
right. And so
So,
so they have to prep her with try to give her as much chemo, I guess. Well, I understand because I have a friend that has ALL,
mm,
and it's exactly what you said. It's like from the get go, they're like, "Look, this is very treatable.
mm,
That this is we have this down pat and
yeah,
everything." But with Elise's, And to knowing my situation, there was a certain
Mhm.
level that I had to get to before I could have the stem cell transplant. Of course, it's completely different. I had an autologous, and she had a allo. But was there like a number they were trying to get her to? Was there like a stage they were trying to get her to before they
0.
did the stem cell transplant? To
We
try
had
to
to get to 0.
Okay.
We had to get to 0, and after induction, which is rough. I didn't find this out till later, but a lot of pediatric leukemia patients don't survive induction.
Oh wow.
But the induction, I'm not kidding when you're saying 105, 104, 105 degree temperature. And it was brutal watching your child
Because
go
it takes
through.
their numbers down to 0.
Well, they tried to, yeah, but when we finally did the LP, the procedure, the bone marrow procedure, all of those, um, it had only taken her down to 30 something percent. She still had,
Yeah.
she had 30% leukemia cells after that, and so we were
That's just
just,
because is that just because they're multiplying so fast?
yeah.
Or-
It just never went down. We just couldn't. We finally got. We went through what, 5 rounds of chemo in Dallas, and never could get to the threshold of where we could have a transplant. We finally made it to Seattle, and within the first month at Seattle, we had gotten down to 0.
Why did you and just kind of I know that kind of fast forwards the story a little bit, but
Hmm.
y'all went to Seattle
Hmm.
in January,
February, but yes.
February. Okay, I can
Hmm.
remember. And that's just like I know in y'all's, and we'll get to this later. I know on your website
Hmm.
that you have in honor of Elyse, that's one of the deals is to get families to the absolute best care that they can get for the particular disease that they're battling.
Yes.
And I guess that is where was that in Seattle that you guys had to go?
Seattle Children's is the place that invented the bone marrow transplant for pediatric AML.
Wow.
They are the
So
ones that.
they're concentrate on AML.
Yeah, well, yes. We were on team B of their high risk leukemia team. Uh, Look, I'm not going to say anything bad about Dallas Children's. Dallas Children's is a fantastic hospital. Okay,
Right.
it really is. It's tied to Southwest Medical School, or Southwestern. It's Southwestern Medical School. It's a very, very, very good school. But it had gotten to the point where the director of bone marrow transplant for Dallas Children's basically said that he was not comfortable with the amount of chemotherapy regimens that Elyse had gone through of even attempting a bone marrow transplant with her. We then were on calls with our oncologist and oncologist at TCH in Houston, St. Jude's, CHOP, which is Seattle Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Seattle, a couple different places where seeing who would take Elyse. And Seattle and Houston said yes if she reached a certain threshold on her numbers from her newest bone marrow, the biopsy. And we hit both thresholds for Houston and Seattle. And in all honesty, if we had gone to Houston's a fantastic hospital as well. Elise's godmother is in Houston. She's a physician there. She actually has visitation rights to, TCH, all of that. But we talked it over and felt that we wanted to go to the place that that invented the procedures
Yeah.
and that we're working on it. And then when we got there, Wow. The difference, hospital-wise, each hospital's different, but the rounds were different. They had the parents were, we were part of the rounds. We were
Yeah.
expected to be part of the rounds. We were expected to be all of this and be interacting. But the deal being is that it was all business, and they got Elyse's leukemia down to 0, and we were in the transplant, and we were literally a day away, and then we found a fungal infection in Elyse's lungs, and we had to stop the process, trying to get rid of the fungal infection. So, which you learn later is you just keep going months, and you're deathly afraid of infection. You're deathly afraid of infection. And it's just she had no immune system, and so
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, just for people listening and watching, whenever you go through what she was going through, because when you're trying to get to the ability to have the transplant, you've got to rid the body of everything. And so, like, and I can relate to that from the standpoint of my cancer number had to get to as close to 0 as possible, so that your body can take it, and then you can hopefully get the results, which basically is rebooting your complete immune system. And so what they were doing it's a hard restart. And so they're trying to get Elyse to that point. Yeah. So they're trying to get Elyse to that point. But one of the things when that happens is your white blood cell count goes to 0, your platelets go down to 14,000 or less. You're having so were they having to give her platelets and
less?
Yeah.
She was getting
were they giving her platelets and blood to try to keep that?
She was getting platelets about every 2 days, and she was getting a blood transfusion. She was getting a blood transfusion every 3 days or so.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a. Do you mind if I actually get up and show you something?
No, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they have something called Beats of Courage at the children's hospitals. And that is something that is about, it's dark. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. But these beads and everything like that, each one of those is a procedure. Elyse had one of the largest beads of courage that they had. And, LPs, lumbar punctures, bone marrow biopsies.
How many of those did she have, Coach? The bone marrow biopsies.
I was trying to think about that. At least 3
because I had one.
4 months.
I had one, and it was just awful.
Oh, she had one anywhere from 2 to 4 a month.
Yeah, bless her heart.
And then lumbar puncture, spinal taps, where she had to go under. Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know how many different procedures she had. It was mind-boggling.
Yeah. So they tried to get everything. So then when she gets the infection in the lungs, did she never got to the stem cell transplant, did she?
She did.
She did. Okay.
She did. Originally her little brother, when we were in Dallas, he was going to be the donor.
Yeah.
But ended up once we got to Seattle's thoughts on it were, for some unknown reason, there just weren't a lot of donors that matched Elyse at all. And then they got very far away from a donor, and actually they clued into stem cells very, very quick. And then, so we were supposed to be in March, end of March, she was starting her, was going to start the transplant procedure and everything. And then she ended up getting a pulmonary fungal infection, which I don't know. I'm sure you were told, don't go on Google. You know, we'll tell you the information that you need. You know, don't go on Google, mainly because Google is, when you're, everything's negative, and you have to have that
Yeah.
room that you are in must be at all times positive. If there's any
Agreed.
negative thoughts,
Yeah.
any negative thoughts, you need to walk out.
Yeah.
You can't be around. You cannot. You know, you can't be around. I couldn't be around Elyse with any negative thoughts. I had to walk out.
Yeah.
And so Google was a non-starter. Never got on it. But so we didn't know that. You know, a pulmonary fungal infection is fatal 100% of the time in AML.
Wow. And so they
So
didn't tell you that either, I guess,
they
obviously.
didn't.
Yeah.
And then it eventually, the fungal infection also moved into her brain. And then, I mean, Seattle didn't quit. They tried everything because, you know, Elyse was an older patient. She was a teenager. And so
Yeah.
she was able to communicate and tell them exactly what she wanted. And hers was like going, if this thing doesn't work, then we're going to go to the next thing. And then we're going to go to the
Right.
next thing. And we're going to go to the next thing. And we're not quitting ever.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Talk about and as you're you know, you're going through the details of what you guys experienced and what she had, you know, just
Mhm.
kind of from share her, just as you watched her and as you guys you and Kathryn walked with her through this from the moment of diagnosis, and just her, because she's a 13-year-old, you know, going to be 14-year-old kid that
Mhm.
that is a smart one
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
understands things. Obviously, it's not like you said, she's not like she's a small child that you're having
Right.
to. This is a you know, going on young adult. How did she respond? And just tell me some things that, and tell us. I think it's good for people to hear how you guys walked with her through this as she began to absorb the idea of what she had, and how y'all communicated with her and how she responded, I guess.
She was devastated. She was frightened, you
Yeah.
know. The hard part is, and this is the one thing I'll never forget. I'll forgive COVID for. If I was at the hospital, so, you know, I stayed at home and worked Monday through Friday, and Rock lived with me at home. And I took him to school and everything like that. And while I was there, Kathryn was working from the hospital and living at the hospital. And then on Fridays, we would switch. And I would go to the hospital on Friday afternoon, and then I would come back, and I would be there, and then I would come back on Sunday night.
Yeah.
And so Kathryn and I and Elyse never got to sit down together and truly discuss it.
At the very when it all started. What
Yeah,
about
um,
yeah?
I mean,
So it's conversations you're having with her, and it's kind of hard because you're trying to. I can't imagine. I just how do you how do you have the? I mean, you're having like when you were there Friday through Sunday, you know,
mhm,
because you're trying to be positive, you
mhm,
know, and believing that you're gonna beat
mhm,
this.
mhm,
She's with you in that, and of course she's losing her
mhm,
hair
mhm.
and all that stuff, and it's COVID, so she friends, you know, it's hard to connect with friends, I guess, that because she can't see
Friends, you know,
friends.
she had no visitors, no visitors. You know, it
Yeah,
was just us. We snuck Rock in once after he did a blood test for his to see if he was a donor.
yeah,
But um, excuse me, I've got to hold on. My I'm running out of charge. I gotta
Oh, you're
Keep the
fine.
cable here going. But
So she's communicating with her friends, I guess, through text, or was she able to
text,
FaceTime or?
text, FaceTime. Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, that's what she did. But the deal is, I mean, she was just a normal teenage girl. They would
Right.
just sit there and giggle, and they would sit there and giggle and do, everything that they needed to do and talk. And it's just, you, I mean, she hated it. She hated me because I was teaching her algebra one because she was going to school. We,
Right.
I mean, we're teachers. We made her go to school. We made her do all of that stuff, and I so enjoyed it. I've never actually. I've taught some really really smart kids, and everybody says that their child is smart, and yes, but I've never got to teach another child at that age that was so quick in getting the different mathematical concepts because I'm an algebra teacher. I was an algebra two teacher. I teach pre-cal, and I got to teach her algebra one, and it was a joy. I don't think she ever realized how much of a joy it was to be her teacher that year. So it was
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah. So she's just
But
kind of, and I think that's the thing. Like as a parent, I'm just thinking from trying to put myself in your shoes, which is impossible.
mhm,
But it just those conversations, you're just living life, and with this disease, so
yeah,
you're doing both. You're living in reality, but you're also. I always say that you have to face reality, and but have faith in the middle of that, and hope, and find hope, and then you're coming up against these obstacles, and especially when you're there and you get the reports, and the leukemias not
mhm,
not getting down below 30%,
mhm,
which and all of Elyse
mhm,
included,
mhm,
we got to get to zero, to
mhm,
get to have a chance to get this out of my body.
yeah. Um, this is where, I would say stuff, corny dad stuff, I'm a coach, rah
Right.
rah, we need a game plan, we have to have a plan, we need to attack it. This is how we've got to attack it. And for me, it was living 100% in the moment. And that's kind of how we had to do.
Sure.
You can't really think in the future. You can't really
Mm.
think. You can't think a month ahead. You can't think 2 months ahead. No, we would talk. It was always, again, it's positivity. There.
Right.
Yeah, everything must be positive. I mean, that's how you talk about it. Elise, when Elise would break down, she would. This is what got me. She's pretty much almost always break down with her mom. But also Dallas Children's has a fantastic. They treat the mental health of their patients fantastically. Elise
Mm.
actually had a psychologist that would come see her 1 to 2 times a week. That was her scheduled time. Um, you know, Animal therapy, pet therapy. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, just a lot of different things that Dallas does on a daily basis. Seattle didn't do that, but Dallas works with the mental health of their patients. I mean, incredibly. Um, so there were uh, programs in place at Dallas Children's for that to help, where there were discussions that Elise was able to have with a trained psychologist where she didn't even want to have the discussions with her parents. You
Yeah.
know, she would talk to her friends that actually still are here in town um, a lot, and then she and I had movie therapy and book therapy, and would, we do a lot of video games with the Wii station. Uh, you know, that's what you did.
Yeah.
Just
Because
lived in the moment.
because from September 5th through for the next 10 months, y'all's life,
Mhm.
I mean, her life wasn't quote unquote, there was no normalcy to it. It was hospitals
Mhm.
and then on top of that, I guess you got to think COVID's still going, so they're even getting together with friends and stuff like that was impossible. And because of her state
Mhm.
of having to go through all the cancer, I mean, it wasn't wise for
Mhm.
her to be around probably many people at all. I mean,
Mhm.
bless her heart, that had to be incredibly difficult.
So when we came back, when we were home for Christmas, and what we didn't know until later is that they had discharged us so that we could have a final Christmas. We didn't know that at the time, but that's what the doctors at Dallas did. You know,
Yeah.
um, when we came out, we had to. I mean, she had no immune system, you know, none whatsoever, and we had to be very, very careful. So we had to basically almost gut our house. I mean, all furniture gone. Uh, if it, because we are major animal people. I mean, we had multiple multiple dogs, multiple cats, stuff like that. So all of the couches we had to give away, all the mattresses replace. We had to yank all the carpet out. We had anything if any of the sheetrock had any water stains or anything, we had to yank that out. Reseal the doors. We had to do an entire new HVAC system. The
Really?
HVAC system, yeah, it has the ultraviolet. It kills microbes, everything like that. We have that.
So you're having to do all this when you found out. You
Hmm.
find out, okay, y'all can go home for Christmas. I mean,
Hmm.
that's not something you just do overnight. So this is weeks in
No,
advance.
we started doing all of that immediately in September. Um, and it was through on. I mean, and we didn't have the funds for that, but it was a community of churches around here. Um, you know, my mother-in-law is a retired senior pastor with United Methodist Church. Um, First United Methodist Church of Heath, just north of Forney. That's where we were members for years and years and years. That's where Elyse was uh, christened, and ultimately that's where her memorial service was. But just we had a community of service. I mean, Sea Life. I mean, First Baptist here. I mean, Rock was at the daycare at First Baptist, but I mean, we had a community of churches and a community of people in this area that just flat out helped us. I
Yeah.
mean, the outpouring was staggering, actually, and that's part of the reason why uh, we put this foundation together because, I mean, when we were paying rent for our apartment in Seattle, um, they gave it to it at cost. We were getting their break even point. They weren't making any money for it. These are the Duffys, the fantastic family. Um, that's more than my mortgage is here.
Yeah.
My monthly rent for our one bedroom apartment in Seattle was more than my 2,400 square foot home mortgage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but again, community outreach, communities, different churches. It was incredible. And Kathryn and I were both able to continue to work online. So actually, COVID and the virtual year for COVID actually, honestly, was a godsend on that because may not have been able to keep our jobs if we had, if we couldn't teach online.
So you
Would
can't.
have
Yeah.
gone.
I mean, because
Yeah,
I'm
would have
sitting
gone
here.
anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a no brainer. But
So
would have gone
there was
anyway. But
pros and cons. to the whole
Mhm.
COVID situation. Obviously, the cons
Mhm.
were the limitation of getting to, be with each other and see
Mhm.
other people. But then the positive was that you guys could continue to work and because there's so much um, leniency as far as how you could work, being
Yeah.
virtual and all that kind of stuff. So,
Mhm.
but like
Yep. I
all the prep was just people coming together to help you with the HVAC, to help you
Yeah.
get the
I
get the
mean, yeah,
couches and everything out, and that's
all of
beautiful.
that, yank the carpet, put new floors down, repaint everything, re-sheet rock. You
Really.
know, yeah,
Now, was this
we
stuff that I guess they were telling you at the doctor's office that you were having to do? Or was
yeah,
this stuff you were doing on your own? So they're
nope.
telling you. So the doctors
This
are telling you this is what you need to do if you're going to take her home.
Yep, yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
was kind of one of those where, because originally, uh, before they knew the specific mutation of AML that she had, they were going to go off the generic AML, pediatric AML plan, which was be at the hospital 2 to 3 weeks, be at home for a week or two, be at the hospital for 2 to 3 weeks, be at home for a week or, no, it wasn't like that at all. You know, Once she was at the hospital, she was in the hospital till we snuck
Yeah.
her out a couple times.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah. Wow. Well, that's I mean, and I think that's the thing. Like, by nature, I believe that, and I love what you guys are doing when you make an awareness, especially with children and kids. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just cancer sucks no matter what, but cancer in kids is just, you know, I just
It's
that's a whole it's a whole nother deal. But I'm so thankful that, and yeah, I want you to say that, but I'm just thankful that, and kudos to the local churches and community and
Mhm.
schools, and people will rally around
Mhm.
one another. It's
Mhm.
if they're given the opportunity, and that's some. I know it's been it's been a lot of times past, and my brain has been fried and put on other situations. So but just remembering, just the things that were going on to help you guys. But even that would be made somewhat difficult because of COVID, and as far as who could, help out
Mhm.
and all the things you had to do. So re-sheetrock the house?
Not the house. We had a,
Water damage or whatever?
how when you grow up, you're in an apartment and then you get your house for the first time, and
Right.
there's things that you forget and stuff like that. Well, with the first year or something like that, we've lived here. I didn't put the return hose in very well to the washing machine, right? So it came out once, and so we had,
Okay. So you
about
had spots
three
you
or
had to take care of.
four. I mean, we had like 3 or 4. We had a little flood in the kitchen utility area. So I had a utility room, and in some of my kitchen, the sheetrock had gotten wet. And so anywhere there was a possibility of mold or mildew, we had to get that out, and so we had
Yeah.
some sheetrock that we had to replace around
I got you.
the area around the kitchen. We had French doors. Love the French doors, but we also at one point in time early in our marriage had two bull mastiffs that decided to use those doors as chew toys, you know, and had kind of messed up the seal a little bit, and so we went ahead and got that out and put in a sliding glass door. Actually, I believe Uh, Sea Life actually um, donated that for us.
And that's a local
Uh,
church here. Yeah.
yes, that is a local church here. But and then yanked out the carpet, yanked out the linoleum, got all that cleaned, and then I and a friend of mine we actually tiled the kitchen. We did a lot of I did as much of the
That's
work
a
as we
lot.
could do as
Yeah.
ourselves,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Well, and you
flooring,
and you
I let some professionals do that. The HVAC, I
yeah.
let some professionals do that. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're sitting in the doctor's office and they're telling you, look, these are the things you need to do
Mm-hmm.
to be able to, get Elyse home. And you're,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, you or Kathryn, probably Kathryn, writing all this down.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think, but for me, if I'm you, I'm thinking, how the frick are we going to pull this off? And
Well,
that's
you
a
know
lot.
what you do? You sick Nana on it. You sick my mother-in-law on it. The retired minister who knows
Yeah.
people, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's what it was. She, I mean, she is, not was, she is a godsend. I mean, she organized everything. I mean, she, even though, it's, part of her family, but I mean, her job, I mean, in ministry is, one of comfort and to help organize and help people.
Yeah.
And then also just basically, if it wasn't church related, I'd say she knows where the bodies are buried. But no, the deal is she just knows, she knows, she knows where the churches actually keep their funds for this type of thing. Is not afraid to ask. Is not afraid to you know, uh, see what could be used. I mean, a lot of the vendors she knew from when she was a senior pastor, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just, the church community as a whole was absolutely incredible for us.
Yeah. That's
It
awesome, man. That's
was,
good to hear. And I think
you
that's encouraging for people to hear because I know you and I talked earlier,
know,
um, how, of course, in y'all's situation, you're talking about 10 months. That's
uh,
staggering. And, in September, you're not thinking 10 months. You're thinking, let's get rid of this, and
yeah. I was thinking, we'll beat this. Let's go.
yeah, 100%.
We got
And
this.
so everything
Yeah.
that you're doing is prepping.
Mhm.
But, like you said, now you look back at it and you know that the doctors were like, let's make sure to have Christmas at home because this is
Mhm.
going to be it. That's just
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh man. Well, and I think just kind of to close that out, I'm thankful because what seems impossible, in those situations, you just find the heart of people because if anything like what I experienced, which I know it is, you see,
Mhm.
you have a mind that you think, okay, this is how we can handle this, but that it always turns out to be something different. Somebody that you would have never thought, okay, they're going to help me do this, and then they show up, and you just see people showing up at times, to
Well, I
help.
mean, it's amazing. I had some people that were acquaintances and decent friends that I realized that were absolutely wow. And then,
Rocks.
my
Yeah.
best friend, and I have told him the exact thing I'm about to say it, but I mean, he ghosted me. My best friend that I've known since I was 6 years old ghosted me.
Do you
And I
think,
know
and those
why. No, he couldn't handle it. He couldn't
no,
handle
that's right.
kid.
I mean, I had a
He didn't know what to
situation where,
say.
right,
You know,
right. I think there's a lot of times where people, they don't, you know, they don't, and you think, and they're thinking, well, I'll call them tomorrow, and then tomorrow turns
mm,
into a week, and the week turns into a
mm,
month, and a month turns into 3 months,
mm.
and then probably at the funeral, there's, you see people showing up. Um,
Yeah, I don't even think he made
people
it.
don't
I
know
don't
how
even think
people
he
don't know
made
how
it
to
to.
respond.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he called me. Yeah, I didn't talk to him for about what 2 years or so. And he called
Oh
me like
wow,
New Year's last year. It was like going boom. I was like, huh. I said, huh. I didn't think I was ever going to talk to you again. You know, because I wasn't. I was never going to call you again. You know,
yeah,
but it. eh, People surprise you. Um,
yeah,
we hear a ton of negativity in this world right now. Um, most everything has some sort of negative connotation. But the human, man, there's still so much good here.
Oh yeah.
There's still
The
so
news.
much good.
I don't watch the news. I watch online stuff because the reality of it is that there's a ton of good people and a ton of good stuff
Mm-hmm.
that happens, and you guys got to experience it. And so,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even like in Seattle, just the people that own that apartment giving it to you at cost,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
people showing up, to
Mm-hmm.
help
Mm-hmm.
you guys in that moment. So
Mm-hmm. I
that's
mean,
that's
and
part of
that
it. And I
was,
think too, and then that's I keep thinking about Elyse in this whole deal. You're just trying to get to a point where you can give her some sense of normalcy in the middle of all this chaos, and just almost impossible, isn't it?
I mean, you get into routines.
Yeah, it's a new normal.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we call it. We call it a new normal. You get into routines, but like it's kind of funny. I'm a voracious reader. I mean, that's what I do. I'd rather read than watch TV. I'd rather that's what I do. And Elise was a huge reader as well, but she couldn't do a lot of reading in the hospital. It's just the
Yeah,
distractions and everything. And then I'm sure you know about this, but there really is such a thing called chemo brain.
yeah,
You're just fuzzy. You
right.
can't concentrate. The poison that they're putting in, they're putting a poison that is killing you. We're hoping that it's gonna kill you slower than it kills the cancer. But it really does affect your thinking and
Hmm.
everything. And but so we would just sit there. We went through and we watched uh, every episode of Friends. This was when we were in Seattle. We watched every episode of Friends. She and I twice.
Wow.
Um, Big Bang Theory. We watched that. She and I'm the sappy parent. I'm the rom com guy. Actually, I love those. We watched every rom coms. I mean, I had a list. When Harry Met Sally. I mean, I just went down this list of what I was going to show her. But
Yeah.
what I was trying to say is the new normal is for me though. Perfect in the world is me just getting to sit beside my daughter. Don't
Yeah.
have to speak. We could be reading two totally separate books, and grunting at each other. But for me, that's my heaven.
Yeah. Being present.
Always has been. And
Yeah.
so I got that at the hospital. But so and then when we were in Seattle, it was every 2 days we would go back and forth
I was going to
because
ask you about
Rock
that.
was
So y'all
Rock.
you couldn't, did y'all have Rock up there with you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. For the longest time,
Yeah.
Rock was still going to be the he was going to be the donor. He was the
Right.
best bet as the donor. But I mean, geez, at this point in time, he was 4. He turned 5 in Seattle. Um, you know, uh, and a lot of people don't realize the trauma that the siblings go through.
No, yeah, I
Um,
agreed. Agreed. And yeah.
it's like
I,
what we ended up telling his teachers when he started going into kindergarten, first and second grade, is that what you have to realize is yes, he lost his best friend, he lost his sibling, the person that he adored the most. But you also have to understand that when it happened, the entire family split. It was like his mom and dad got a divorce because he lived with me on the week and he had his mom on the weekends.
yeah.
You know, and he never saw us together anymore.
So even in Seattle, you guys weren't able to be in the room with her together.
Seattle, which was kind of funny. Yes and no. There were times where Kathryn and I were both able to be at the hospital together. Seattle allowed us to both be there, but not rock. But they also
Okay.
did let us. They let
Okay,
us
good.
sneak in.
That's good.
They did
Yeah.
let us sneak in, rock a little bit.
Right.
So
But y'all could be in the room together at that point more
a
if
little
need to
bit,
be.
yes. It was just so funny. The COVID rules at Seattle Children's Hospital were less stringent than the ones at Dallas Children, which it was
Imagine
just
that.
kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny, but yeah, the deal is we also had Kathryn's best friend, Elyse's godmother. Um, she flew up to Seattle. She started flying up to Seattle about she'd stay about a week every month.
Yeah.
Kathryn's mom did the same thing.
Yeah.
Would come up and stay anywhere from 5 days to a week. Kathryn's sister would come, and in fact, they actually her Kathryn's mom and sister actually drove our SUV from Dallas to Seattle. So you know because the rental cars. So the rental industry, the real estate industry, and the rental car industry in Seattle it is super expensive.
Yeah.
The cost of living in Seattle is absolutely
Yeah.
it's amazing. So
Yeah.
so I had a
Well, I mean, Coach, I think, and just coming to a point. So she got the infection. Did she go ahead
Mhm.
and get the stem cell transplant while she still had the infection?
Yeah,
It was
we had
just
a
kind of
catch
a last.
22.
Was it just a swinging for the fence kind of situation? I guess.
Yeah, we went through. So there was a really large nodule of a fungal infection right at her lungs, right here. And so they went in the side, and they worked on what was supposed to be about a 2-hour procedure. Ended up being about 6 to 7 hour procedure. They went in and scraped out as much of the fungal infection as possible in her lungs. And this is her. Unfortunately, this was basically her last 8 to 10 days. The fungal infection had moved into her brain. We're now in June. Because we spent 2 months trying to fight a fungal infection, fighting the fungal infection, fighting the fungal infection. And the problem was, you had to stop this. You had to stop this information. You had to stop this medicine that was helping because it was going to hinder the transplant drugs. It
Yeah.
was going to have a adverse reaction with that. But it ended up. Um, we had gotten to the protocol. We had started it, and she was in ICU. And it really was a last ditch. And if anybody were to think, the stem cells that they are typed for Elyse only. They cannot be used for anybody else
Yeah.
at all. And so, if we ended up not having the stem cell transplant, it was those they were going to go to waste. They would not be able to be used for anybody else, and there was always a chance that we had to have the stem cells to regenerate the white blood count, the white blood cells to generate the immune system so that we could get rid of the
Right.
fungal infection. And
Right.
it's just cascading. But you know, uh, it just it didn't. And they finally found out, with the day actually the day she passed away, or she passed away in the early morning, but the day before that, we found out that the strain of the fungal infection that she had was um, Aspergillus terraris. I think it's mainly here in Texas, and it is a beast. You
Yeah.
know, it's not good. But
That's the name of the fungal infection she had?
that was the name of the strain that she had,
Okay.
and yeah. So the last week, especially after the surgery, where they were trying to get as much surgically get as much of the fungal infection out of her lungs as possible, she never woke up again.
Mm.
A lot of that was, some of it that was medically induced, though. But she never woke up again.
Oh man. Yeah.
It sucks. It's what 2 years of therapy, and it's still. Um, I did hear something. It makes sense. I hated it when I heard it at first, but now, almost 3 years, what, 2.5 years, 2.5 years into the grief journey, is that, yeah, it never goes away, but it does get softer a little bit.
I read
I've,
that
I, I,
and for you guys that are, they're following this, if you're either watching it live or the playback or listening on iTunes or Spotify, they have a Facebook page as well as a website. But the Facebook page is also Elyse. Um, what is it? The same as the website? Is it Elyse Warrior
um,
Foundation? I think it is. I mean, I'll look real
Kathryn,
quick.
Kathryn does that because I have discovered that Facebook is not good for me.
Right.
From a
Well, and the only
social
reason I
media as a
bring it up
whole,
is
it's not a
because,
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I brought
I
it
get.
up because
Yeah.
she posted
Hmm.
she a beautiful post
Hmm.
on Elise's Warrior Foundation page.
Hmm.
Pretty sure that's where it's at.
Hmm.
And it mentions that um that statement. Let me see here.
Well,
If I can find it.
it's from my or the statement that I originally heard it is from my wife's grandfather, who was
Oh, really?
was a Methodist minister in Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
It was
Um,
let's see. I was looking for the post cuz it was amazing.
what Kathryn
Oh, yeah, here it is.
finds.
It says she wrote, and it is on Elise's Warrior Foundation. That's what it's called.
Hmm.
So on Facebook, it's Elise's ELYSE. I'll put it
Hmm.
on the comment sections. But she makes the comment that I'm better at living with my grief, but I'm just as sad. And I just no parent, coach, that's watching this, listening to this, um, it's just obviously not the way it was meant to be. And what you said, I mean, and just cancer robbing, um, it's just heavy. I don't even
Well,
know
I
how to
mean,
navigate the conversation, to be honest with you, because I know it's
look, you
because
would.
that moment, I mean, when you get to that point where you realize, okay, my daughter is not gonna make it. And you said like being present, but even in that part, you
Oh
said she
yeah,
became unconscious, right?
there's the yeah, you know, and it's actually that's when I started worrying about my marriage. Actually, because my wife would not. I could see it. I was able. I could see it. But my wife was still straight into the, fight, fight, fight. We're fighting. We're going to do absolutely everything, absolutely everything. It got to the point where the doctors wouldn't even talk to my wife. They'd just talk to me.
Yeah.
I would have to,
Oh, we lost you. Okay, there you
anything, everything would have to go, I had to kind of be a buffer.
go.
The deal is, I mean, you got kids. I mean, I would, I would have gleefully signed whatever contract I had with the devil. Oh, eternity in hell. Okay, sure, not a problem. For my daughter to be okay. You know,
Yeah.
which I'd be like when I win. But you know, uh, you meet a lot of cancer parents. You meet a lot of parents, and where we were, Seattle gets the tougher cases.
Yeah.
A lot of hospitals, kind of do worry about their success rate. And that's how a lot of them, some of the when you get the top 10 hospitals, of each in each category. And sometimes, I mean, that really does make a difference, but Seattle didn't care. They would take, you know, they were starting a new study when we left of a pediatric cancer that as of right now was 100% fatal, and they were still working on it.
Yeah.
They didn't care about success. Well, I mean, they care about success rate, but they didn't, what I mean. They were just working the
Right.
problem.
Yeah. And
So
that's where they were with Elyse, right? They're like, this is 100% fatal, but we're not quitting because there's
pretty
something.
much, I mean, they never
Yeah.
told us it was 100% fatal. You
Yeah.
know,
Golly. Yeah.
you learn. Well, no, we told them early on, give us probabilities, don't give us percentages. We don't want to know.
Yeah.
We're just going to fight. If this doesn't work, we're going to go to plan B. If option B doesn't work, we're going to go to option C. And that's what we're doing. You
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know it's difficult, but we had some. Uh, you know, she had to go for an MR, something like either an MRI machine. It was either MRI machine or a particular machine was broken at Seattle Children's, and so we had to go to UW, University of Washington's hospital to do it. And then the doctors just said, you don't have to come immediately back. So we
Yeah.
ended up going to, we went at the Space Needle. We did Pike's,
Oh, good.
the market. We did Cholula Gardens. We got to do that. Elyse, we got to have one more day with Elyse and Rock and us, and did that. And in fact, they ended up started calling us. And it was like, hey, we're 2 miles out. We'll be there. They're like going, we thought you'd kind of taken
Yeah.
when we said, you could, stay out a little bit. We didn't mean that long.
Yeah.
But you know, um, yeah, yeah. It's again, at least for me, I've gone almost 2 years of grief counseling. I'm in between counselors now, um, but it has helped tremendously because I came back angry, angry, very, very
Yeah.
angry. Um, Kathryn has become almost an agoraphobe. She does not leave the house. Very little
Yeah.
does she leave the house. Online shopping, all of that. I've become the grocery shopper of the house. Um, but for the longest time, it was, I would sit in the parking lot and getting getting up, not the courage to go inside to do the shopping, but just, kind of wait to a break where I didn't get to see an intact family walking into the store in front of me.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, my perspective on life, my perspective is totally different.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that we always, and the whole reason this thing's called the Freak Cast is because,
Mhm.
it's just this idea that every part of the story, is part of the journey, and everybody deals with things differently. And I so
Mhm.
appreciate you coming on, and hopefully people that are listening and watching can appreciate just the story of what you're sharing, because you're still in the middle of this. This is not like,
Mhm.
this doesn't, this is a, don't, you don't get over this. You just learn to, you don't get
No.
over this. I mean, you learn to cope the way, and, and like Kathryn, I mean, I think you just keep pressing forward somehow and find that new normal or whatever, I guess. And I mean, I'm
Mhm.
speaking just, my thoughts are, okay, whatever you have to do. And, and then I
Mhm.
think everybody would say, well, anything we can do or encourage you
Mhm.
or whatever. It's therapeutic to definitely talk about it and to share the story. I
It
think
is.
people listening can appreciate the fact that if you kid, and I'm going to say this, I think you would say this, and I'd probably be better, I guess, if I let you say this, but I be present, because time is crucial and opportunities are,
Mhm.
it's just like you said.
Mhm.
I mean, that was a huge statement. You would have done anything,
Oh,
to make sure that
oh,
she was here.
oh God, I would.
But
Whew.
I can't imagine, man. And I've been in situations like this, where over the years, and I've said this many times, but I had a mentor tell me, don't ever tell someone that you know how they feel unless you truly know how they feel.
Yeah.
And that was the
Excuse me.
best piece of advice. And that way, I mean, no matter what, like if, a kid that's gone through a divorce, I know how that
Mhm.
feels. But every divorce is unique and situations are different. But, of course, I have a good friend of mine named Brian Smith. I think that, um, that he and his wife, and he's going to be on here at some point. They lost their daughter to osteosarcoma years ago, and he would always tell me, Stephen Carroll, there's no, you don't know how I feel, but everyone has their stuff. Everybody has something that they're dealing with, and it's relative to whatever. Everything's relative, but in a case like this, it's just, how do you? I appreciate you saying that, because I'm like, that's one of the things I think that people need to know is where are you? How are you dealing with this? And just hearing you say, grief counseling, I was angry, and I'll let you expound on it even more. I mean, Kathryn, and the thing is, nobody should ever look at a situation and say, well, I think you should do this, or I think that, or, and there's all that statement that people can bring up, um, me and a guy named Chad talked about this a few weeks ago, but God's got a purpose, well, no, that doesn't fit here, and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff,
Please. Okay, this is from me talking to other dads and moms, and
that have been through what you've been through,
yeah, we do
right?
we do a retreat every year now. We have become part of this retreat. It's actually through Seattle, Dallas Children's, but it is Camp Soul, and to qualify to go, it is a family camping weekend camp retreat for families that have lost a child.
Yeah.
And so the dads get together, moms get together, the as couples we get together and we talk and we have fun and everything, but we do talk, and it's like, uh, yeah, I mean, some of the things that will, you know, listen, I'm a Christian, fallen at the moment, pretty much. Still angry, but um, don't. Some of the things that we had talked about of some of the stuff that is difficult to hear is, again, God's plan.
Yeah.
God needed an angel, or different things like that. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not something I need to hear. Not something I want to
Yeah,
hear.
exactly. And I
You
think
know,
people listening need to hear. And I want you to finish that, but I think people
mhm,
listening and watching need to understand. That may
mhm,
sound great, and there may be cool
mhm,
pictures that God
mhm,
needed her more than you did and stuff like that, or we
mhm,
did, but I just don't think. I think that I don't I don't agree with that.
yeah. And um, it's just, but the deal is, until you've lost either a child or
Mm-hmm.
if you've lost a loved one, you say these platitudes thinking that you're saying the right thing. And I understand that. I
Yeah,
understand.
it's a
I know that
yeah,
you are
yeah,
not being malicious, and I understand that.
right. And you give
But
grace to people because they're doing the
yeah,
best they can. Yeah,
correct. But sometimes it's I was actually talking to my mother-in-law, retired minister, and she was talking about um, she was at her church, and they were going through what were they talking about? They were talking about uh, what to say to people that are grieving and everything like that. And she went on not a little tirade, but she was like going, here are a few of the things that we have said in the past. This is what we use. These are phrases, stock phrases, and everything. Let me go ahead and tell you now, they don't work, you know,
yeah,
because I'm hearing from either myself or my daughter who lost a child that it doesn't work.
yeah,
But each
yeah,
person is different too.
yeah,
Um, Again, I cannot stress enough that for me, um, grief counseling was a godsend.
yeah.
Um, I I probably would not have my job right now if it hasn't been for grief counseling, because I probably would have finally, you know, blown up on somebody. Not physically, but just, finally just
No, I get it.
verbally
Yeah, I mean,
just
I'm driving down. I'm driving, and
erupted.
it's right. And because people were going, we're all going through something, and we are gonna, if we don't deal with whatever
Hmm.
somehow, we're gonna project that and those
Hmm.
feelings out
Hmm.
into other people, and and I just, um, time is a powerful tool that we have, um, and that if we're
Hmm.
given the time. But I really do appreciate what you're saying about that, because I think that's gave you a voice, I guess that you could speak and just somebody to bounce all this crap off of.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
and
know.
I, yeah, I get I get I've got we have a picture. It's somewhere in here. There's a picture, and of all the kids that are in the picture, only one of them's alive. The rest of them have died.
And that's a picture, I
And
guess, from the hospital that they were
yeah,
all
it's a
together.
picture of the hospital. And the only person that's in the picture that is alive and is doing well is Brighton, who is also from Forney. Was diagnosed with leukemia a month after Elyse was diagnosed, and they went to the same junior high. So
But he did. Did he not? He didn't have acute. He didn't have AML, did
ALL.
he?
His is ALL.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ALL.
Did the
Um,
other kids that you're talking about, did they have AML, or
no,
just all different
well,
things? It doesn't matter. I was trying to.
different, different,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
different,
all different
different
kinds.
types. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's yeah the
Tell us, Coach. I mean, what do you feel? Go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, for people listening,
Mhm.
just from your perspective, what have been the things that um, people can say, or people, what is the best thing that, and I've said this several times, and I think I know what you're gonna say, but it's, like I've ran into you multiple times, um,
Mhm.
in grocery stores or
Mhm.
whatever, in time, and never one time did would I have thought you were in your car waiting for just the
Mhm.
right moment where you didn't have to see a family unit walking in,
Mhm.
to think, that little nuance in your life, but that was just one way that you needed to cope. And
Mhm.
and but like just sharing with people because they don't know what to say and they don't know what to do. And and if you were to give someone advice, if you don't mind, and if this isn't too hard to do, I don't
Mhm.
know. Um,
It's
I want to say what's been the best responses that you've had. I don't really know what the question is, but I think you see where I'm going with that, I guess.
well, I'll turn the air blue if they're the best response. You know, a friend of mine just came up and he goes, you know, I don't know what to say. Only
That's
thing I
it.
know is no. He goes, I don't know what to say. He goes, I love you. He goes,
Yeah.
all I know is this bleeping sucks.
Yep.
And I was like, I you nailed it. You know,
Yeah.
I,
I think that's the best response.
you know,
But I think,
at least for me it
and
is.
yeah,
You
and I
know,
think there are verses in the Bible, I think, that, and things that, you know, that that are true, like you'll say, God is near to the brokenhearted, and,
mm,
but it doesn't feel that way. It feels, and like you said earlier, that mentally, and even in your heart, that, but your feelings become so great and so strong that it's, just
so great and so
hard
strong
to,
that you become numb. Honestly,
yeah, yeah,
um, you know, first year we were back. You know, I drive a bus every morning. You know, I drive a
yeah,
bus route every morning before school starts. First, first, first 3, 4, 5 months, I would be coming back with an empty bus from the school back to the bus barn to park it, and I'm bawling my eyes out anytime there
hmm
was silence. You know, um, for the longest time, different songs would just you know set me off. Um, some movies will, um, and I can't watch. I can no longer watch a TV show or a movie that has a sick child in it. I cannot. I will get up and walk out. I will. I don't. Yeah, I can't do it. Um, stuff like that. I can't watch anymore. I can't do. I can't be around. Um, but there is a moment every single day, and it has not. It has not changed. It happens, and I don't know what I'm going to be doing every moment, every day. But there is a moment at some point in my mind that I realize that I'm never going to see my daughter again. You know, and it is like a little click in my head, and it never fails. I get it every day. Sometimes, I'm driving to work. Sometimes, sometimes I'm literally getting out of bed and I'm getting, or I'm in my shower or something. That's where it's different. Now we've been talking about my daughter, but it's not only a child. I have another child. I have a
I was fixing to bring that
7-year-old
up.
son,
Yeah, yeah,
and he is fantastic. But I'm petrified that I'm not enough because I'm broken.
yeah,
You know, I mean, Kathryn and I have talked about that many, many times how, we just feel, are we good enough parents for our rock, our son, because of what we went through, because we both feel that we are broken emotionally.
Well,
It's just
yeah, and I want to say this, and I don't know good, bad, right, or wrong, and if it's wrong, just tell me. I mean, because I really don't give a shit. But I just so I'd rather you just say that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life, But anyway, I want to say this to you both,
Mm,
that knowing how you dealt with our children, both my daughter and my son,
mm,
the love, the passion, the energy, the encouragement. I think sometimes that we get into situations where, we have blinders on and we can't see,
mm,
because of, and obviously because of what y'all have gone through. But I would
mm,
tell Kathryn, and if she watches this or listens, and you,
mm,
that even in the midst of your brokenness and even in the midst of your struggles, I love what you said a while ago, that, I'm a Christian, but right now I feel fallen.
mm.
Um, in the middle of all of that, I do believe that the way I've seen and experienced it both personally and the way that I have watched you both invest your life in people over the years, that, you know, that rock is getting, you know, more than you feel like you're given, because you naturally are just those kind of people.
God, I hope
And
so.
you are. And I know, and I do believe that. I do
Mm,
believe that. I don't mean that to blow smoke, or, but I just
mm,
believe that somehow in our souls, who we are, and definitely has been, obviously impacted. But I know there's so many dynamics involved in that whole situation. But um I don't know, I just really felt compelled to say that, good,
I
bad, right, or
appreciate that.
wrong. Yeah, because I just have watched you both do that. And I just have to believe, and I think that anybody that truly knows you two people
Mm.
would say the same thing, that even in the midst of all that you've faced, that boy is loved by two great parents that love their kid,
Oh,
and
he's loved.
and
Boy.
oh yeah, and champion him and everything. And
Mm,
so, and like you said, it's just a new normal.
yeah.
It's a mark. I had a friend in um, high school whose older brother, passed away
Mm,
tragically. And I watched her parents, and and been in years of ministry, I've seen a lot of things. Um but man, she, grew up and was homecoming queen, and
mm.
and had just believed in herself. And I just believe Rock's going to grow up the same way, Coach. I really do. And
Well, I hope so. I mean, she was his favorite person,
yeah,
and she loved being a big sister. Because she
right.
was an only child she was an only child for almost 10 years.
And for
You
those
know?
people watching, do you want to throw this picture up of her or not? I
Yeah,
don't want to do something. Okay.
absolutely.
I mean, if you're watching, this is because I think, we've been talking about her, and
That's
this is her.
Thanksgiving, maybe 2019,
19?
maybe.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah. And then I had this picture here. This, you said, I couldn't get the one to come up of the Believe at Christmas. So you
Oh,
said your
yeah.
last
That was our
normal
last
Christmas, but
normal Christmas.
this is, I guess this is
It
probably
is
around, looks like it
my
might be around that same time, 2019.
Yeah. Um,
And
Rock.
there's his Rock.
Actually, I'll bet you this is before pandemic.
Yeah, I would
Before
think so.
that, but it's fairly close to that actually. The last thing that we really did together as a family was we went to the Irish festival at the at Fair Park,
Yeah.
and then we went to some friend of ours. They have a horse ranch, and we went and stayed with them for a few days. And then as soon as we were driving back, that's when we got word that we were not going to go back to school immediately from spring break.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
And Coach, I can't thank you enough for being
uh-huh.
on here. I just believe, and I want you to talk about, the tickers talking about your foundation,
hmm
and that's Elyse Warrior Foundation, and
hmm
um, it's just
Well, the driving force behind the foundation is actually my wife.
yeah, I could
But
tell on the website and everything.
Yeah, Elise's Warrior Foundation. We have, it's basically twofold: education, pediatric cancer education. Um,
Right.
you know, which and just trying to get money into some research. You know, but second, um, is for us specifically to help with any um, costs of a family having to relocate for better care.
Right.
We had the opportunity, we were able to travel to Seattle. And I mean, look, plane tickets. Dallas Children's gave us those plane tickets.
Really?
Southwest Airlines gives them vouchers for people if they need to travel somewhere. Yeah, I mean that was a gift from Southwest Airlines, given to Dallas Children's, and then Dallas Children's said, "Yeah, y'all need it. Y'all are going to Seattle. You've got a bed ready to go. Here you go."
Wow.
Let's see. But anyway, um, we through our community and through different churches in the community and everything, we were able to, you know, drop everything and go to Seattle. We were able
Yeah.
to find Airbnbs, and I ended up finding the Duffy family, and they we their basement apartment. We lived in their basement apartment for months.
Yeah.
But the deal is, I unfortunately got to overhear dads on the phone. This one dad was from Montana. They were from Montana, and they had flown their child here to Seattle, or there to Seattle, and he's on the phone with his realtor going, "Just sell it. I don't care how much you get it for. We're just sell the house. Whatever you can get for it. I don't care. I need the money to be here in Seattle." You know, and but just selling their houses on pennies on the dollar, and just doing whatever they could. And the foundation can't do that, but if we can
Right.
help a family with groceries for the month, you know,
Yeah. And I think that,
um,
and who knows, the idea is that if for you guys that are listening,
mm,
it's www.elyses Warrior Foundation. So it's Elise's Warrior Foundation. Her name is spelled Elyses.
mm,
And we're gonna have this. We'll have this on. One thing that I'm gonna do too is on the fightlikeafreak.com. Make sure we'll put a link to that, and we'll because I mean, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, you can go there. There's a way that you can. You can you can donate and you can
mm,
give, and and this money is going to go toward families
mm,
that are battling, whether it's
mm,
whatever pediatric cancer they're facing,
mm,
so that they can be at the spot that will be best suited to try to save their child,
mm.
and ultimately, and
You know, yeah. everybody, for instance, everybody said, why didn't you go to St. Jude? St. Jude was being consulted on Elyse's case on a weekly basis. The problem was St. Jude did not have a research grant going for the type of cancer that Elyse had. So
Yeah.
therefore, Elyse couldn't go to St. Jude. CHOP in Philadelphia, CHOP had some fantastic studies going on, mainly with T cells. It just, if you can get into one of those studies and travel, it's fantastic. But some hospitals are testing certain things, and some hospitals just work. Um, what was it? Somebody that I knew that I met, or somebody that I went to high school with, their child originally was at Dallas Children's, and for I don't even know, but it was an internal medicine thing, and they ended up transferring to Boston because the Boston Children's had a better was just better with internal medicine.
Yeah.
You know, each hospital has its expertise, and we don't want a family to realize that, hey, just because that's the hospital that you first went to doesn't mean you have to stay there if there's a better place.
Right. And I think that's one of the things that
Mhm.
you encounter because you have obviously tons of people coming at you with ideas and you have to assimilate all those ideas down to what you and Kathryn believe is ultimately the best care for, Elyse. And that's what parents have to do. That's what families have to do. Um, and by no means, I'm cautious. I just know having a cancer diagnosis personally as a, you had to look at the options. Are we going to go to MD Anderson? Are we going to go to University of or are we going to go to, in Little Rock, Arkansas and Little Rock, where they are say they're the premier whatever? Or are we going to stick with Dr. Mazel? And we had to make that decision based on what we felt like was best for us, just like what you're talking about. And I think that's a great statement. You said that you don't have to stay where you are. You can find a better spot because I know Dr. Mazel told us that I want you to get a second opinion. I want you to be where you feel most comfortable and where you feel like you're getting the best care based upon what you have. And what you guys are doing is making a way possible to help however you can to get people where they need to be and get families where they need to be. And you guys are such a source of, information. And I know, um, like you said, I think we were talking earlier, this is not you don't want to be, I don't know how we said it or how you said it. This is not, you don't want to have this experience. You don't want to have this you don't want this to be something that you use to help other people, but yet you do because it's where you are. Actually, I was talking to a guy named Greg about that earlier who had a 2-year old grandson that had leukemia that passed away. And it was a year ago. He's going to be on here in a few weeks, him and his daughter. But he made that statement, that it's the same thing, same thing, But now you have it, and so I think it's cool. That's a bad word. Um, I think it's awesome that you guys are, that your wife is promoting this foundation and working with it. And I saw on her Facebook page that she had like 7 days of childhood cancer awareness, and she put a lot of great information on there that people can look at. So I mean, it's a good follow on Facebook, and it's definitely a good source to support to help these families that you guys are connected with. So, um, anyway, man. Well, I can't hear you. I lost you. Hold on one second. We're getting his audio back up. I don't know. Can you use your device's audio? Hold on a second. What? You're muted for some reason. I think you're muted on your deal. Okay, go now.
How about this?
I got you. Yeah, I got you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the AirPods just aren't working now, so I don't know. But yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish this experience on anybody. You know, it's but if I can use my experience, or we can use our experience to help someone either make a better decision, or uh help them sleep better that night, that'll work.
Yeah.
I'll take um
Yeah.
that's about it. I mean, the other thing that we're doing with our foundation is that we do a Lego drive.
Yeah,
Lego.
I've got that up here. I'll throw it up here.
So this is our third one. We have it tied to Valentine's Day, and what will happen is we ask people to Kathryn's working on the Amazon list right now, I guess, but people ship it either to our house, or there will also be a drop-off point at the high school. And we ended up having to rent a U-Haul cargo van last year. And then Rock and I delivered those to Dallas Children's, and it was unopened Lego sets. And every single cancer patient at Dallas Children's got a Lego set to work on for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Now,
that's
again,
awesome.
yeah, this started because Elyse was a voracious reader that she couldn't concentrate to read anymore and needed something to do, and somebody handed her a small Lego set, and so she put it together actually for Rock. But she's like, that was fun, so can you get me one? So it's like, sure. So Kathryn and I, anytime we'd go to Target or something like that, we would just go find a Harry Potter Lego set, because that's what Elyse wanted. And she ended up decorating her entire Seattle, hospital room with Legos. She was actually working. She one final one, and honestly, the Lego sets are in boxes here in this room that I'm in right now. We just haven't opened them. But the last one that she was working on was Dumbledore's Phoenix, the fox, and she never finished it. But while she was in ICU, I went ahead and finished it for her, right beside her.
Yeah.
But so it got to where she really, really loved doing Legos. Rock got to where he likes Legos, but he collects Minecraft Legos sets. And, yeah. And so that was the deal. It's like it passed the time in the hospital.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. So we had
how do y'all, I see the we got the flyer, and we can post that.
Well, the flyer has the address that you can ship it to. You can ship it.
Gotcha.
That's our home, which is also the headquarters of our foundation. And that is shipped to us, or you can deliver it to us, or whatever. We will then be putting contact information, Elyse's Warrior Foundation contact information on each set with additional information that we do put on there for when we hand it out to the families and to the cancer patients themselves.
Okay.
So just a little bit of information about our foundation and if they need anything from us. And then we'll have multiple high schools and tennis teams across the state that will participate. They will sit there. The coaches will either deliver a big truck full or something like that to us. And then at North Forney High School, there is we have a 2-hour window on Saturday, February 10th, where we're opening up the high school for them to drop off, and the cheerleaders and the student council will be helping taking Lego sets for that as well. And then some people do donate cash, and that is fantastic too, because I took all the donated cash and I went on one of the most fun shopping sprees I have ever done in my entire life. All I did was buy Lego sets. But
Yeah.
you know, a lot of the Lego sets that people provide are for the younger kids, right? Which absolutely
Right.
have to do so. But you also got to remember there are teenage boys and girls, not even boys and girls,
Yeah.
young men and young women
Yeah.
that are also cancer patients at Dallas Children's. And so
Yeah.
I bought the I got, let's see, one of them was with the Thanos, the hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did that. I got a Groot, like a 2-foot tall, Groot, something like that. I mean, I got some big sets. And
for those guys.
and I was, there's a new Lego sets that are like some orchids, and garden, Zen garden and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So, I mean, it's really, really cool. And what'll happen is we need everything by February the 10th. If you're to the address that's on the flyer, it needs to be there by the 10th. If you're you can drop off anything at North Forney High School at any time, or honestly at a lot of different campuses across the town, because we've got to put everything together. And then Rock and I will take the day off on February the 13th. We will deliver it all to Dallas Children's. And, hopefully the kids.
We all get to help pass them out.
They have not allowed us to yet, and that's still from the COVID protocols. Yeah. I would love to pass them out.
I was fixed to say that would be such a therapeutic thing, I think, for you guys to be able to do.
I would love to pass them out, but with COVID as it is, I haven't been allowed to yet.
Yeah. Well,
but it's kind of funny.
Hopefully that will change. Yeah.
One of our nurses that we in Dallas, that she was our first nurse actually. We taught her at Brown Middle School.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paige Kirkendall. Yeah. She was one of our nurses. So,
oh wow.
Yeah. So
well, Megan is a nurse now, and her assignment is the oncology floor at Medical City here in Dallas.
Oh, really?
Yep. Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
So
it's
pretty nuts.
I will flat out tell you that I personally couldn't do it. The triumphs, when they're triumphs, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time just seeing a sick child.
No, she's on adult care, so she's not on pediatric. But she did do a turn with she was going to do pediatric.
Yeah.
ICU because, and her thing was, Coach, that she was, and I think you can appreciate this. Her thing was that just being with the families. She had a proctor, I guess, I don't know if it's proctor, but a preceptor that just, told her that she was really good with the families, which you can probably attest to the fact nurses, are such a lifeline to you, just to be present in the moments that are the darkest and the hardest. And I'm sure you had experiences with people and individuals that were just present with you in that moment. And so
I'll flat out tell you, there are doctors that I would gladly put their head through a wall.
Right.
But there are nurses that would then come back and translate
yeah.
From what was said to what they meant to say,
Yeah.
you know. But it takes an incredibly special person to do it. And
Yeah.
these are people
It's
that
definitely, I think, a call. It
I
is definitely a purpose and assignment.
yeah, these are definitely people that I will forever have a place in my heart for, because they made my daughter smile,
Yeah.
you know. And it's just they they patted my back and held my head
Yeah.
when I've got tears that I can't show my daughter,
Yeah.
because there is no negativity in that room.
Yeah.
Has to be by
Yeah.
you. There is positivity. If you're in the hospital room, you are positive.
Yeah.
There is negativity, because
Yeah.
cancer thrives in negativity. Must be positive.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, man, I can't thank you enough for doing this
Absolutely.
and taking the time to share. And hopefully, it's something that you can. I tell all the guys that are on. It's a way for you to tell your story, and then for you to have a link that you can share. With other people. Um, and so I'll make sure you have the links, because I know people want to hear your story, and sometimes it's like, hey, I've got a link I can give you that kind of goes through everything that we kind of experienced, and that way you're not having to repeat it. But
Mm-hmm.
but man, I just feel like it's for everybody listening and watching, or that will listen and watch down the road, just to hear. I think there will be somebody that has a daughter or a son that's been diagnosed with this, can you know hear your journey, and hopefully, I
Mm-hmm.
know that you would, like you said earlier, you wouldn't wish this on anyone, and hopefully, as research advances and
Mm-hmm.
moves forward, that this can become like ALL and be
Yeah.
something
Oh,
that,
yeah. We want better
you know,
outcomes. We want
yeah,
better outcomes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And I'll
so,
flat out tell you, I mean, Elise's Elise's story. I mean, my daughter had a specific mutation of AML that was brutal. So pediatric patients with AML, while the success rate, the remission rate is not as good as ALL, we're still talking 70-75% success rate,
yeah,
which is good. It needs to be better.
yeah,
My daughter's chromosomal, her type of AML was just not that way.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It's the same way with, I think, probably many of the cancers, right? Like with multiple myeloma,
mm,
there's some certain chromosomal
mm.
deals that you just don't want to have.
Oh God, no. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think
Mm,
obviously Elyse had that. So people
yeah.
listening about AML, that there's a 70% success rate. It's just that in
Mhm.
your case with Elyse, um, you
Elise's
didn't.
was more like 11% success rate.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it
and it's
not,
just the
yeah. It's just she got the, I guess, Russian roulette. I don't know. You know,
yeah, no, man.
have no idea. You can go down the black hole, that dark hole of why, and I sometimes still do.
Sure.
Always will. But eh, you
The
know,
whys and the what ifs are the
the what ifs
you
are
know.
actually worse than the whys.
I was supposed to say, I think the what ifs are worse than the whys.
Yeah.
Because I do that in situations and today then that are
Yeah.
not anywhere near comparable to what you're having to consider.
What if we
But
find out that crack
anyway,
and cheese cause? I mean, what if we find out that something innocuous?
yeah,
So it's like going, God, me, saying yes to my daughter when she wanted Kraft mac and cheese, 3 times a week. What if that was,
yeah,
Yeah, those
Yeah,
what
we
if
can't do that.
that
You I was, yeah, I can relate to that from the standpoint of like, I had 2 teeth that the caps had fallen off, and
yeah,
Donna read something somewhere that, that if you have rotten teeth, that they can get in your bloodstream. And I'm like,
yeah.
I remember the day that she said something about that, and the expletives that I shot out of my mouth would be embarrassing for me to repeat right now. And I'm like, if you tell me that those blankety blank teeth caused me to have this blankety blank cancer,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be pissed.
yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, we
Well,
could do that all day long, and it won't take us anywhere.
yeah, I know. It goes. It's just it takes you somewhere, and it takes you for a
Oh
ride.
yeah, it does take you
So,
somewhere.
it takes you
Yeah,
for
it
a ride.
does.
I mean, I have a hard
Yeah.
enough time, with my temper. I have found the one thing I have found that has been freeing about being a member. See, I'm a member of a club that you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
I'm a member of a club of parents that lost a child. I'll tell you though, I, my give a crap meter it does not rise very
I,
high anymore.
I can relate to that. I can
My
relate to that a little bit. Yeah.
I no longer, and I do not suffer fools anymore.
Yeah.
I just will not. I'm just yeah. You're not wasting my time anymore.
Yeah. This time is just not worth it.
Nope. Didn't have
Anyway.
enough. Didn't have enough. Well, Steven,
Brother, we love you. Love you,
Love you.
man. Tell Kathryn thank you too. I know that she's, and that we love her, and
oh yeah.
just a special family to us and to our family and to our kids. And
Well, she taught the oldest too.
she did teach Braden.
She taught the oldest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And because there was a year there where
She was at Forney Middle School.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then she split
That's
off.
right.
Then she split off and went to the South Side for a couple of years and then came back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, she did. So
Mm-hmm.
you guys have definitely impacted a lot of lives over the years. And as you said earlier, I know this is not a way you want to impact lives, but it is where you are, and the fact that you're choosing to be available to people. And I think it's cool too. I want to reiterate there as we close the fact that you said, when it comes to AML, there is a 70% chance, that you can encourage people with that and give them such resources along the way. And so I'm just appreciate you guys being available to do that. But at the end of the day, man, we're just sorry because we know it's not the way it was meant to be.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I tell you, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you're doing. Fight like a freak, man.
Yeah.
It was, for me, I'll tell you, again, it was a gut punch to me when I found out. I will freely admit that I was crying when I found out. So, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. Stay positive.
So far so good. I mean, and I think even, and I can say this too, is that 20 plus years ago, multiple myeloma was, they couldn't, they would pound it with, traditional chemos, and even then it was maybe 2 years. And it's it's a rare form too. It's not, but now my doctor was telling me this past week, and I talked about this the other night, that it's the therapies have advanced, and so, and so that's a good thing. So, but I appreciate it, man. You were talking about that chemo brain earlier. I literally today, today,
it's real.
Because I take a pill every day, and then Donna has said some things to me about just my brain and stuff like that along the way. But today I was driving a trailer, and I was taking that trailer. It was a dump trailer. I was going to take it to the dump. And I was on the phone with a guy, and I literally drove 20 minutes in the wrong direction.
That could be.
And so I'm thinking I'm going into Dallas, and then I'm on the phone with this guy. I'm like, dude, I'm at Buc-ee's in Terrell. And if you guys that are listening, that's a total opposite direction. And I'm like, what in the living crap am I doing? I was like, Greg, I'm going the wrong way. And he said, well, man, I'm sorry. It's because we're talking. I'm like, no, it's not because we're talking. It's just because I have no idea how I got here. I know where I'm going.
What's that pill that you take? What's the name of it?
It's called Revlimid.
Okay.
It's the generic form of it is lenalidomide. And anyway, I have to take this survey every month. But it's a chemo pill.
Yeah.
But it is in the line of immunotherapies where it goes in and it attacks the bad cells and not the good cells. So that's a good thing.
They had Elyse on multiple different tiers. Seattle did, and they got her down to 0.
Yeah.
One of them was the pill was an AML drug for senior citizens.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it worked for her, and the deal was she was 14. So they could do stuff with her that they couldn't do with some of the smaller, younger kids. Right. Yeah. But, she's still a teenager. So, just we've got to get more money to research.
Yeah. Get these. Yeah, I know, man.
Yeah. We've got to get more money.
Yeah. Well, that's another conversation we can have about what's out there that we're not having access to. So,
yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
man, appreciate it, brother. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. Do what?
I said, I have practice in the morning.
I know you do, man. Thanks for spending time with us tonight. Yeah. And, I'll send you the links as well. So, all right, brother, take care. All right. Thanks, man. All right. Bye. All right, guys. Thanks for joining in tonight. And, man, share this. And I think it's pivotal to reiterate there at the end, AML, acute myeloid leukemia, that it's go to the website. There's a lot of good information that you can get from Elyse's Warrior Foundation, and just appreciate Coach Spurgeon being on here tonight sharing his story with us. So got a lot of cool stories coming up. And you know what, and here's the thing too, and I love what he said, just faith and believing and having those things that you focus on is important. And but at the same time, it's okay to question and have those conversations and to get the help that you need to work through what you're facing, so that you find your way out of the holes at times, because anyway, they're going to show up. Hey, love you guys. Thanks for joining tonight. Fight Like a Freak. We've got some this weekend. I'm waiting on the call, but one of my good friends, Tracy, is supposed to be on here with us on Sunday, and so we're going to be doing 2 or 3 of these a week, and share the links with people that might need it, and especially if you know someone that has lost a child tragically, that you feel like might be encouraged to hear that they're not alone, and some of the resources that Coach Spurgeon shared would be awesome as well. So, hey, we're going to take you out of here as we normally do, and we'll just stay true to what we're intended to do. And I say this all the time, we're here putting this stuff out into the atmosphere. We're here putting this stuff out into the world, and we may not have a whole lot going on right now, maybe, but it's not the fact that we're worried about how many viewers we have, nor that we're worried about how many listeners we're having. It's the fact that we showed up tonight and we did this and we put it out there and we shared a story, because every story matters. You guys be blessed. Have a great day. Have a great night. And fight like a freak to you. Talk to you later.